Morris says that the Planet 88X regulator is their best breathing one ever, using new Airmatic technology to breathe smoother and easier, like the air is just there. But how does it actually work, and is it as good as they say?
Hey, Torben here from DIVEIN, the place where we test and review scuba gear, give you tips and tricks that'll help you become a better diver, and of course we share the best dive destinations that you really should check out.
In this video, we're looking at the Planet 88X twin balance piston regulator from Morris. This is a premium regulator with a really different second stage design. So instead of using a spring like most other regulators, it uses air pressure to control the breathing. Morris calls this Airmatic, but how does that really work? You'll find out in this review. We'll walk through how we tested it, of course, how this Airmatic design works, and of course how it breathes underwater, both in deep waters and in cold waters. We'll talk about the build of this, the setup, what we like, what we don't like, and last but not least, I'll tell you whether or not I think this is a regulator you should buy. So let's dive in. Before we get started, of course, we have a giveaway today as well, and in this case, it's the Planet 88X regulator. Yes, that's right, one of the testing units that we've had and used, you get to try as well, so you can see how it breathes for yourself. To find out how you get it, watch the whole video because I'll share it somewhere in the middle. Now, let's talk about how we tested this regulator. So we've dived this for about a month in an array of different dive conditions. We've used it in the Maldives, in Turks and Caicos, in the Mediterranean, and in cold water dives here at home where surface temperatures were close to 32 degrees Fahrenheit, 0 degrees Celsius. We did deeper dives, took it down to 130 feet, 40 meters. That gave us a good chance to see how it breathed at depth, especially when we push our breathing rates or push our movement underwater. We've dived this, rinsed it, packed it down, packed it up again, used this regulator extensively over the past month, so you can see if this is a regulator worth your time and money, of course. But to know that, you need to understand what makes the Planet 88X different. To show you that, I actually need to go back and talk about how a normal regulator works. Your tank holds air at 200 bar. The first stage takes this pressure to what we call intermediate pressure. That's the pressure going out through the low pressure hoses to your low pressure inflator hose and of course to your second stages. In most regulators, this second stage uses a mechanical spring to keep the valve closed until you inhale. Then when you breathe in, the diaphragm moves, the valve opens and air flows in. That design works and it has worked for years. The Planet 88X is different. So instead of using a main spring to control the breathing or control the airflow, the Airmatic second stage uses pressure from the tank to control the valve. That means that the breathing feel is not controlled by this same spring tension that you have in a traditional second stage. Balanced regulators can slowly drift out of tune as main spring tension changes. With the Airmatic design, there is no main spring controlling the breathing. The regulator is designed to stay consistent trip after trip and for every depth. Underwater this shows at 130 feet, 40 meters. Horizontal, head up, head down, fast breathing at depth. The breathing just stayed consistent no matter the depth, position, or breathing rate. And that is really what a zero cracking pressure regulator will do. It never feels like you have to start a breath. It is really like the air is just there. And this is what top regulators can do.
There is no breathing adjustment either, so nothing else to focus on. There's no Venturi switch. There's no breathing resistance knob. The regulator is designed to tune itself through this Airmatic system, so the setup feels the same from dive to dive, trip to trip, depth to depth. It doesn't really matter. One of the issues with this design, and something that Morris had to handle, is what happens if intermediate pressure rises too much in the second stage. On a traditional downstream second stage, this will just lead to a free flow regulator. But in an upstream design, this second stage valve will close more instead. So the air is closing the valve.
Morris has added two safety features for this. An overpressure valve on the first stage that releases excess intermediate pressure. If you want, you can replace this overpressure valve with a standard alternate air source, as long as it's not using the Airmatic technology.
Of course, we did not trigger this doing our test, but it's important to understand this because the regulator behaves a bit different than your normal downstream second stage in this rare failure case. Next problem that arises in this system, if air pressure is what keeps the valve shut on the second stage, what happens when you are depressurizing and are washing a gear? Will water then come up? We'll cover that later in the video, so stay tuned. Cold water is where this regulator has to prove itself, and we tested this with surface temperatures near 32 degrees, 0 degrees Celsius. We tried as much as we could to make this regulator fail, free-flowing the regulator for extensive time. There was no issues with this. So no regulator is completely freeze-proof, but during our testing, the Planet 88X handled repeated purchase, heavy breathing in near freezing waters without any issues. A big reason here is the sealed twin-balanced piston first stage. This is the part of the design that helps a regulator perform in cold water. And then, of course, the all-metal second stage helped metal just holds temperature better, and this prevents ice buildup that can lead to a malfunction as well. What stood out to us more than the cold water performance was actually the consistency. So no matter what we tried, how hard we pushed this regulator, the breathing stayed and felt the same. No tuning, no adjustment, just the same smooth breathing throughout the dive. This all-metal second stage weighs a bit, and you feel that as soon as you pick it up. So we did also expect this to give some jaw fatigue when diving with it, but I'm gonna say it was a lot lighter in the mouth while diving than expected. On long dive days, we noticed that it weighs a bit more, but it did not become a problem. We didn't have any jaw fatigue after long dive days. The braided hose helps because it's flexible enough that you don't have any jaw pull when you're turning your head. And that just makes the regulator really pleasant to dive with. The 88X twin-balanced piston first stage has a 360-degree swivel turret. It has 5 low-pressure ports and 2 high-pressure ports. The 4 low-pressure ports is placed at the turret, so you can route the hose as you want, you can move them around as you want. And then the 5th low-pressure port is placed in line with the system, which works really well for double tanks or side-mount diving. And then you have the overpressure valve. You can replace this valve, as I mentioned earlier, and then add in a standard alternate air source. Then you still have all the 5 low-pressure ports available. You just need to make sure that the alternate second stage is not using the Airmatic technology, then it will work fine, and any excess air will be released through that regulator instead of the overpressure valve. The 2 high-pressure ports are at a 10-degree angle, moved towards you and not just out to the side. The Planet 88X is a premium regulator. All metal, second stage is tough. The first stage is solid. The whole setup is built for cold water deep dives, frequent use, and you can feel that throughout the system. It is really a system made to last, and Morris is a brand that stands behind it. There's a service interval on 2 years, 200 dives. Now, we talked about a rinsing problem. What happens when you shut off the air pressure? That seals the second stage. Will water get through? Will you have a problem with the second stage and having water inside the system? Well, of course, Morris solved the issue as well. Morris added a small spring to seal the regulator. When there's no airflow, there's still a small spring that puts just enough tension to close the second stage, but not so much tension that it will affect the breathing. This means no debris can get in doing rinsing or storage for that matter.
So how is it traveling with it? This is a relatively heavy regulator at 2.7 pounds, 1.2 kilos, and combine that with all the other gear you're bringing, this just adds a bit extra bulk. Personally, I always bring the regulator in my checked-in bag. It comes in a nice protective case. You can fit all of it down with the alternate air source you need in, with the SPG you need in, and it's just taking up a lot of the space you have for the carry-on. That said, what you get with a premium regulator is not often the most travel-friendly setup. Now, if you have been looking at the Morris Planet 88X, you of course want to know how this compares to other regulators. So we took a proven cold water high-performance regulator, the Apex EBX200. We also compared it to the Atomic TFX, one of the best breathing regulators we've tested. Now, this video is getting long, so I kept the recommendations in the written review. Check that one out in the descriptions below.
Who should buy the Planet 88X regulator? You're diving cold, you're diving deep waters, you want perfect breathing. This is the regulator for you. This is not a cheap budget regulator. This is not a travel option. This is for you who's doing serious diving, who wants a reliable regulator. And again, if you are doing warm water, if you're doing a lot of traveling, look on for other options. We have a full in-depth guide on DIVEIN.com that will cover all these. We also have a video. I'll link that up here as well. As I promised, we do have an option for you to win one of the units that we've been testing here at DIVEIN, to get your hands on this regulator, to see if what I said above is true or not, or if you feel the same things. You have to do 3 simple things. First up, like this video and subscribe to the channel. Second up, in the comments below. Tell me, what do you think about this new design of a regulator? What do you think about the Mars Planet 88X? Last but not least, subscribe to the newsletter. It's the first link in the description, and this is where we'll announce the winners of this. So that's all I had for this review of the Mars Planet 88X regulator. If you want to read more about it, want to see the comparisons, or want to see all the other regulators reviewed here, check out the links in the description. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy diving.